What's up, beautiful people? Today I thought it'd be interesting to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, and that's tattoos. But I also want to highlight someone that's very cool that I've never personally met, but I've been part of her art expo or art exhibit, and that's Jessica Blink Warren, and she has muscular dystrophy type 2. And what she has is not only does she have tattoos, but she also set up an art expo with the University of Alabama that was able to highlight people with disabilities and the reason why they get tattooed. I was actually a part of the expo, so I will post a link at the bottom of this podcast so you guys can check it out yourself. But it had people from all over and they were showing off their tattoos. And the reason why I was really captivated by this art show was that it allowed people with disabilities not only show off their artwork, but it allowed them to show the purpose of the artwork and the reason why they get tattooed. And what really got me captivated by this art show was she was really looking for tattoos that told stories. And that's really what I love to do when I get my tattoos is I really love to put a lot of thought into it. And sometimes that can be about 2 to 3 years. I really put a lot of thought into my tattoos because not only are they permanent and not only are they indelible, just like she said, and that's what the name of the art show is. It's called Indelible. So I'm sure they're gonna do it again, so I'll post the link so you guys can check it out, and maybe you can be a part of it next year. But one reason why I was really captivated by it is because she was really looking for tattoos with meaning, tattoos that told a story, tattoos that meant something to the person that got them done. And not only do I get tattooed because I like the artwork and I like to see how far I can push my body as far as how much pain I can take, but I really like to tell stories because it's the way for me that creates a conversation outside of my disabilities, and it really starts to talk about tattoos and why I got that tattoo. And then when people realize that I really put a lot of thought and a lot of meaning into my tattoos and the story behind them, then they start to realize that I am way more than my disability. I'm creative. I have a lot to say, and I have a lot that I want to show other people. And I really want to become an advocate for people without disabilities so that they can better understand people with disabilities so that we can really get along in this world and we can really understand that just because we have a disability doesn't mean nothing. It just means that we get around different. We may have to use mobility devices. We may have to use certain equipment to get us in and out of bed, but that doesn't really change our mind. People can't, we may have to have help and we may have to have assistance throughout our daily life, but that doesn't mean we can't have a mind and we can't think for ourselves. So I really love getting tattooed. I can remember when I was first getting into music, I was more into the pop and more of like the NSYNC and all that stuff. I mean, I hate to say that, but then when I went to my first rock show, Family I Use '06, I saw Deftones, I saw Korn, I saw Farley, I saw all that. And not only did I see all those bands, but I saw people who were speaking their mind, people who were different, people who had tattoos, people who had different color hair, people that had piercings, people that had things that not everybody had, and everybody had a story. That's what captivated me to it. Was everybody had a story and they had something to say, and they were really speaking their mind through the artwork and the things that they had on their body and the piercings. It was really a thing for them to stand out. So that's why I get tattoos and piercings and things like that, so that I stand out. So that the first time someone meets me, they can really get to know me and really understand me because of my tattoos. Sometimes it can be very difficult when you have a disability to start up a conversation because of the way people might look at you and the way people might say something to you. Sorry, I got a little tongue tied. But that's one way that I've figured out that I can use my way of interacting with people and I can draw people to me so that I can have conversations about disabilities and have conversations about what we have going on in the disability world to educate them. But it doesn't have to start with that. It can start with tattoos, and it can start with showing them how not so different we are just because we're in a chair. Um, so that's really what brought me to want to be a part of the expo. I've also been a part of Ink Magazine. I never thought I'd be able to be in that magazine, but I had a caregiver one time that said, "You know what? You got a really captivating story. You do a lot. We should find um find you a magazine, and we should get you interviewed in that magazine." So I took it upon myself to get her to help me send a email to In Magazine, and within a day or so, the editor called me back, and so now I've been in Magazine. So I also always use the power of my tattoos as my voice and as a way to get into the disability world and step outside of the disability world so that I can become the best advocate I can become. I never will forget the first time I got tattooed. I was really hesitant at first because I didn't know what it was gonna feel like or what it was gonna take to get me tattooed. I didn't know if they're gonna have to take me out of the chair. I didn't know if the artist was gonna say this is gonna be too much. I can't do this. I didn't know how he would react to it because you don't see many people with tattoos in the disability world. But once he figured out I was disabled and he figured out how he could do it, it was no issue and he was very open to it. No matter of fact, I was only the second person that he had ever tattooed with a disability, and all we did was lay me. I had to lay over a pillow in my chair, and we just tattooed me right there in the chair. He had to stand up, but ever since then, I was 18. Then I'm 36, and I've been getting tattooed ever since. So tattoos are something I'm really passionate about alongside metal music. I feel like they go hand in hand. So I can remember the first time I got tattooed. Like I said, I was a little hesitant, a little crazy. Had these crazy thoughts of like, is this gonna hurt? How's it gonna feel? Like, how are they gonna do this? But once I stepped into my thought that I can do this, I'm gonna do this, then it was very easy. And then ever since then, when I found the right artist and I got to know him, it was even better. And some of the people say, "Well, how do you get tattooed, or how do you do that?" Sometimes it's a little tricky. Sometimes we don't know how we're gonna do it, but we figured out. I know this past time I got tattooed, I got the inside of my arm done, and I want to get a sleeve, and I was like, "How am I gonna do this?" And it's something that I always thought about, and always struggle with is how are we gonna get the inside of my arm? It's gonna be hard for me to lay down because every tattoo up until this last one I just got has always been in my chair. So that was a thought of how are we gonna do this? Is he gonna be comfortable doing this? Is he gonna be okay with me laying down and dealing with my muscles and how they react? But ever since then, ever since I came over that hurdle of, not thinking about different ways we can't do it, other than thinking about different ways we can do it, I just said, "Okay, you're gonna lay me down. I'm gonna trust you to be able to do this." Not only did I have to trust him, but I had to trust myself to allow him to be able to move me any which way he needed so that he could get a tattoo done, and it went off great. So I'll put some photos of that inside this podcast so you guys can see how that worked. And you can also follow me on TikTok. We have some videos of that there. So never be hesitant about getting tattooed. Never be hesitant about how the artist gonna feel about this, how the artist gonna feel about that. Because being a tattoo artist, not only do you see wild and crazy people, but you deal with wild and crazy situations. So figuring out how you're gonna tattoo laying down or in your chair is not the most horrible thing ever. It actually um makes them, you know, understand you a little bit more, and you really show them how they're becoming an advocate for people with disabilities by tattooing you. And not only does it put you on the map with a person with a disability, but it also puts their shop on the map because you may go in that shop and it may be the first time they ever tattooed somebody with a disability. It may be the first time they've ever thought about how a person with a disability is going to get tattooed. I'm sorry, I got tongue tied again. But yeah, just think about it. Not how am I gonna do this, but how am I gonna make myself comfortable enough to go in there and talk to the artist so that he can better understand what I how I deal with my disability and what I am as a person with a disability, whether you be an advocate or the reason why you're getting tattooed. So always go. I like to tell people go with your tattoos, but go with intention because it's on your body for life, and it's something that you can't wash off. So just go with intention. If you never had a tattoo, it's not that bad. I never thought I'd be able to get tattooed. I was always scared of it. I'm the kind of person that can never, really take blood. I'm like, oh God, I could get blood taken. No, no. But once you just realize that, yeah, it's gonna hurt, and yeah, it's gonna not feel so good. Just think about what it's going to look like when it gets done and the message you're sending out to the world. And I'm going to post some links to the art expo so you guys can check that out. Also, one point I do want to make, find a good shop that you really like because the shop has a lot to do with it. The environment is everything. I love the shop I go to now, and that's the shop that's behind me, the Mark Society. Not only do I like them because the shop is open, they're all nice people, and they cater to the client the best way they can, and they make you feel like you're a family when you go in. I mean, even just talking to the front desk people, you feel like you've known them forever. You feel like they're your friend. They want to really help you. They want to really understand you and why you're getting the tattoo, and they're gonna do their best to execute the tattoo you asked for. But they also do a lot for the community. I look at them as advocates for the community because they're putting on wrestling shows, tattoo expos, and they're also having sometimes they've had events at the shop before for different people who different family members have had cancer, have done things like that. So always look for the right shop and the right people that fit your vibe, that really fit what you're trying to portray, your message you're trying to portray in the community, so that when you send someone there, they can maybe spread the message of what you're trying to spread by talking about the tattoo shop and talking about the people, talking about the environment, and talking about their experience. Because just like I'm an advocate for people with disabilities, and when I go in there and I talk about the shop and I talk about the people there, I'm becoming an advocate for that shop. So yeah, just always think about your tattoos long and hard, and think about the reasons why you want to get it and where you want to put it because it is permanent. We'll see you guys soon.